Okay, and we are live. Hey, everybody, this is Simply D of the INNERMIX show. And, well, because we had to cancel the show yesterday, we said we couldn't let you guys go a whole week without seeing, something from INNERMIX. And because of everything going on in the news now, let me slow that down. We wanted to bring you guys one of the hottest topics going on around at least the U.S. right now. And although a lot of you are outside the U.S., we know that you keep up with our news, especially entertainment news. So we're going to dive in and talk a bit about what's been going on when it comes down to Ray Rice. But before we do that, I want to make sure that you guys know how to contact INNERMIX and how to get your opinions heard tonight. You can reach us on Twitter at INNERMIX_show. You can hit us up on Instagram at INNERMIX360. That's INNERMIX 360. The numbers. Don't write it out. A lot of y'all try to write it out. Don't do that. Just put some numbers in there, and you'll be fine. You can hit us up on Google+. And on Google+, it is plus INNERMIX show. Okay? Real simple. Easy to get at, no problem. And of course, there's Facebook, and that is INNERMIX. Just look up INNERMIX on Facebook. We'll pop up. You'll see our beautiful faces, and we're good to go on that. Now, just like one of you just hit me up with, Jules is actually going to try to make the show tonight, but we actually didn't plan on doing this show. So she's not going to be available at least till later on tonight, but by then we might even be off the air. So she said she's going to try to make it, but if she's unable to make it, know that her opinions have been well documented, and I will be bringing those to you as well. So before we move on any further, I did a lot of that real quick so that I can introduce you guys to our guests. One of them you know already. You've heard her opinions. She's been on here plenty of times. You know her from the radio show. You know her from hanging out at the beginning of the year with us quite often. And this is Tatiana. Now you get to see the face that goes with the voice. Say hi to the people, Tatiana.
Hello, everybody.
Tatiana's having some lighting issues, y'all. So she's not really that dark. Okay, she might be, but y'all don't know. She got a yellow background. She's trying to set a mood. She's trying to set a mood back there with her yellow light. She's like, look, she's the only woman on the show so far. That's her mud yellow. That's mud yellow, y'all. She spent time working on that lighting. Leave her alone. Okay, and then we have one of the people that I do a lot of business with. INNERMIX does a lot of business with this person. But we're going to let him introduce and tell you a bit about himself. This right here is Mr. Marvin Taylor. Say hi to the people, Marvin.
What up, everybody?
And that's all he has to say about that. So, what we're going to do, you guys, because this topic has been all over the place. I mean, TMZ is covering this thing like crazy. And I'm expecting for you guys to have a lot to say. So I'm already plugged into Instagram here. I'm already plugged into Twitter, which is where you guys seem to like to hit us up now quite a bit. So if you want to share your opinion about the Ray Rice story, what's going on with him right now, please hit us up on Twitter, or you can even comment here on the show. Now, if you like what we have to say, there's a new feature that'll give us instant, like you push the thumbs up button that you see on your screen, and it'll give a round of applause if you start to agree with what's being said. If you disagree with what's being said, okay, we're not saying that you have to agree with us, but if you disagree with what we're saying, you're probably wrong. So it's okay, but you can push that down. You can push the thumb down button, and we respect everybody's opinion, even if it is wrong. So with that being said, we're going to dive in to the topic, and we want to, for those of you who don't know the Ray Rice story, Ray Rice plays for the Baltimore Ravens, or played for the Baltimore
Ravens.
He played for the Baltimore Ravens, and recently he's been in the headline. Just type his name in, and you're going to get a whole bunch of backstory on him. Okay, but some months ago, I believe it was in February, if I'm not mistaken. Some months ago,
February 15th.
February 15th, he was caught on camera hitting his then fiance and knocking her unconscious. Okay, but Not, but he was arrested, and so was his fiance, because there was a mutual exchange of fist throws. And from what we have been able to determine, he wasn't the first person swinging. He was actually responding to the initiated swinging from his then fiance. Well, now he's married to her. Okay, keep that in mind, y'all. Back then it was his fiance. She got knocked out. Now he's married to her. So, well, we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. So, anyway, because it was, he got arrested, and it was for domestic violence and all that, the NFL said, you know what, we need to punish him for the behavior, even off the field.
So no, let's back up a little bit, D. Hold on.
Okay.
Because the NFL actually did not say anything about punishment until the public came out and said, "Oh, he's such a bad guy. He's a woman beater. He beats women. He needs to never play football again." Blah 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 blah. And then the NFL said, "You know what? This is messing with the brand." I mean, let's not be fooled and say that the NFL cares so much about people. The NFL is a business. They care about their brand. So if anything that hurts their brand, just as any business owner would do, they kind of disassociate themselves with that thing that's hurting the brand.
No negative press here. Right.
No negative press. So we go back. I mean, the initial video. I mean, I can give you the whole timeline. The first date was February 15th, which was the date the event took place. The next date is February 19th, which is the date that the initial video of just him dragging her unconscious body out of the elevator was released by TMZ. How TMZ has so much power to get a video before the NFL, whatever. So we've and just like you stated, both parties were arrested. Not just him, but both parties. So here we are in New Jersey, man and woman, unconscious woman, is arrested. So there has to be more video than just the two videos that's been released, and I applaud TMZ because their timing is excellent, because he had a 2-game suspension. His next game he would have been suspended from would have been this Thursday's game against Pittsburgh, and then he would have been eligible for reinstatement the following game, the following week. Well, now, the NFL had no problems with Ray Rice practicing. They had no problems with him attending training camp, mini camp, anything. And even on the first game of the year, when the Ravens played whoever they played, I don't even remember who they played because the game was so boring. But Cincinnati, that's who it is, Cincinnati. But when they played Cincinnati, there were women and children in the crowd with Ray Rice jerseys on.
Right.
So, if the public is in such an uproar about the type of man Ray Rice is, then why do women still purchase and wear his paraphernalia? That's more so than the NFL brand and the Baltimore Ravens brand. His name is on the back of that jersey. Of course, the NFL gets a majority of the take off of that jersey.
Right.
But now we have today, fast forward to today, a new video comes out. And the video shows what anybody with a brain already knew happened. He hit her. What did you thought happened in the elevator? He's dragging a limp, unconscious woman out of the elevator. What did you think happened? Period. So now, here it is, new video comes, the Baltimore Ravens release him. Shortly after the Baltimore Ravens releasing him, the NFL suspends him indefinitely. Now, I have no problem with the suspension per se, the 2-game suspension. I have no problem with the NFL disassociating themselves with Ray Rice. But the manner in which everything took place. Because following the initial 2-game suspension, the public cried out again, and they said that it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. The NFL, they support women beaters. They approve of this. They approve of this. They approve of this. So what did Roger Goodell do, who was the NFL commissioner? He came out and he came up with a standard for punishment. So your first offense for domestic violence, per the NFL policy, was a 6-game suspension. Now this ruling took place after Ray Rice was already suspended for 2 games. So there was no precedent set. So here it is, new rule, new policy, February. I don't remember the exact date, but he set 6 games. First offense. Second offense, lifetime ban. Now, when you hear lifetime ban, you think, oh, he's gone forever. But lifetime ban, but you can apply for reinstatement a year later. A year later. Okay. So here we are. Today, well, even go back to the Hall of Fame game when reporters asked Roger Goodell, well, will Ray Rice be held to this 6-game standard? His answer was no, because his punishment had already been handed down. He can't go back now and then repunish him for a rule that was set in place after he's been punished. So now that was the commissioner of the NFL's word then. Now today, this video comes out showing the punch, and all of a sudden, everybody is just all up panties in a bunch. But something we already knew happened.
But the thing is even in that video that they keep showing over and over again, you see her come at him first.
Exactly. But we're not even gonna get into that part this quick, because you know there's a whole lot of people on both sides when it comes to a man hitting a woman. Blah blah blah, whatever.
Nice long conversation before the show.
That's right, and they should be. But go ahead.
So my problem with this whole situation is, here we are today. The video comes out showing the act that the commissioner and the Baltimore Ravens organization already knew the details of the incident. He admitted to striking his then fiance, now wife. He admitted to it. She said, yes, he struck me. Yes. Okay, so they already knew, and they handed down a 2-game suspension. 2 games. 2 games. Fine. You suspended for 2 games. Live with it. But now you see the punch. You see the whole encounter inside the elevator, and now you're so disgusted that you have to suspend him indefinitely.
As long as it was only a mental image, then everybody was fine. But the moment it became,
what's the difference?
Yeah, exactly. Like, but
the tree still fell. Nobody was there to hear it fall, but the tree still fell.
Yeah, but he drug the tree out the elevator. See, so that's what.
I mean, I would have been a little, and by no means, I would say every day, all day, I do not support a man hitting a woman, but nor do I support a woman hitting a man, period.
Right.
There's no reason for any person, male or female, to hit another person. If it's that big of a disagreement that you can't talk it out, walk away. Simple.
Well, yeah, but we'll get into that in a second, because that strategy was tried in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, so, she trailed them through the entire video. It's okay.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody paid attention to that. They just saw the punch. That's everything else that happened preceding that point was blocked out.
It's irrelevant to most of the people because they're just caught up in that moment. But how much of this situation do you think is built on just shock value and trying to get ratings back up because everybody's ratings were declining? You know, because I was reading a little bit on the timing of a lot of these stories that come out, and one thing I recognized is that a lot of the stations that got involved with the initial release of these, you know, of the information and everything other than TMZ, their stations are being sold. So a lot of people were trying to capitalize on let's make it more shocking. Let's make it, so because even if people recognize what we recognize as average viewers, let's forget the industry information we have, but let's just talk about just as average viewers who with common sense, right? How the networks had to put this together themselves too, but a lot of these, like CNN, I believe CNN's doing what they say almost a bunch of layoffs. I think it's over 1,500 layoffs right now, or something like that, which is a whole other topic. But all these stations are being sold left and right, so everybody's trying to cover this topic in the most horrific way possible to get the ratings up. Exactly. Because right now, people are changing channels to find more of the same story. So, so I just see all this stuff happening. I'm like, okay, so this man is basically being persecuted in the press. But before we even...
Not only him. She's being persecuted in the press.
Oh,
she's being persecuted in the press, right along with him. So you're making this woman relive everything. And I mean, she went in and she put a statement up on her Instagram. Mm-hmm. and she herself and I watched. I won't mention names, but I watched an anchor woman on television day on one of those big channels.
Oh, we mentioned names on this show. No, go ahead.
Go out and say that she was appalled because the commissioner interviewed Janae Palmer along with Ray Rice sitting there by her side, and that you should never interview the abuser with the abusee. Okay, you shouldn't. Okay.
That's her. She married him.
She
that
married
ain't
him.
none of her business. Well, doggone, whatever. Excuse me. That ain't none of her business.
Yeah, she married him. But see, this is the thing. So she says that we need to see the punch. We didn't need to see the punch. Everybody knew the punch happened.
We sure didn't.
An idiot know what happened in that elevator.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, hey, people are gonna, I'm always taking it from the side of people are always gonna do the thing that people really, in their minds, want to see happen. Like she's gonna say things that are gonna shock people into an emotional response because that's her job. But exactly. even she know that he had to have knocked her out, for her to have to get drug out. Yeah. And anybody who's even seen Friday, you see what I'm saying, knows that this is what happens. You just got knocked them.
Let's do comparisons. Let's go back to another elevator event. Solange and Jay-Z. Let's go back to another elevator incident. Now, did anybody cry out and say Solange needs to be booted out the industry because this and that? No, they say, yeah, girl, protect your sister. He cheating on her. He's doing this.
And that was me. It won't really? That was me. Yeah.
But no one knew the story of why she was hitting him. She was abusing him.
Right.
And he didn't even retaliate. He tried to stop her, and his wife stood by watching his sister flail and kick and all of this and all. Come on. That could not have been me.
Well, even more popular than that was the bus driver knocking the girl out for spitting on him situation.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And people applauded that as well.
Yeah. Now, they were okay with that one because, look, she needed to get punched. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but the thing that got me was the women newscasters were like, "Oh my God!" But she deserved it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So what makes this? What makes
this?
But
say
how
again,
do you know what happened?
Say again.
The camera.
The cameras. Yeah. It didn't give you any words. You got no dialogue.
Nope. You got the same.
Somebody recorded the whole incident. It was on what? World Hip Hop or something.
No.
I'm speaking of the Ray Rice incident. You don't know what happened in that. What was the dialogue preceding that? You don't know if she spit on. So you're saying if she spit on him, then she deserved to get knocked out.
Right. But apparently,
I don't think she said no.
No.
You don't hit nobody unless you want to get hit back.
Well, no. The thing is well, true, but the thing is like when the girl spit on the bus driver, everybody said he had a right because she could have had anything, going on in her mouth, and now she's contaminating him with it, and he had a right to defend himself. That's considered self-defense. So, but when you see a woman in an elevator in an enclosed space, coming at you, ready to hit you and swing at you, and you jab out of reflex, it's not like he wound up, and said, "Here it comes." Like he didn't do all of that. It
was an impulse. It was an impulse. Now, again,
he didn't keep on.
He was wrong.
Yeah.
He was wrong. But it was an impulse reaction. When every human's natural innate ability is to survive. It's survival. You will try to survive any means necessary. Period. When you backed in the corner as a human, you will try your best to survive. So here you are. This person is coming to you attacking. The first thing is defend myself. Defend myself. Did he go overboard with it? Yes, he went overboard with it.
Well, this is what because I was talking to a sheriff earlier today when we knew we were going to do the show, and one of the things that I'm not going to say what department or anything, but I'm going to say the sheriff basically said, if this had happened in a particular part of town, wouldn't have been no issue because she went first, so she'd have been the one arrested. Because it's not like he kept swinging on her. It's not like he just continued to do it. He hit her one time, and it was only after she was coming after him. Yeah. So if
you saw his face, you saw the look on him. He was shocked. He was like, "Oh shit."
So it wasn't one of those welcome to the INNERMIX show, but it wasn't one of those. It wasn't one of those situations where he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to show you that I'm the man." It was an impulse, situation, and I do believe that we're held accountable for the things we do, but self-defense law says that if you perceive that you are in, any kind of danger, you have the right to defend yourself. So, and this is what martial artists and this is what police officers, this is what people are taught. If you perceive, now technically someone doesn't even have to be coming at you. The way the law is written, is if you perceive yourself to be in a situation that could easily become violent, you have the right to even make the first move. Mm-hmm. Now in this situation, he didn't even make the first move. But yet, because he's a celebrity, his moves seem to matter more than whatever she did.
Yep.
And I don't think that there should be a separate standard legally. I'm not going to say, socially we do have certain standards we have to meet because we're in the public eye. I understand that. But I understand that some of the things we do socially can cause others to believe that if we do it, it's okay for them to do it. So
now that right there leads back to parenting, because I have 3 children, 2 boys, 1 girl, and I tell my children every single day, a football player is not someone you idolize. Just because he can jump high, run fast, catch a ball, throw a ball, does not make them a good person. That's not someone you pattern your lifestyle after. Now, if you play football, you can pattern your practice regimen after them. You can practice how you want to play, but how you behave in the public eye is not based upon that person. And if you as a parent look at this person and say, "Oh, you're supposed to be my child's idol, so he's going to do everything he sees you do." Well, hell, your kids are going to be popping mollies because half the football players popping mollies. I mean, everything they hear in music is popping molly. Smoke this, drink this. So you're allowing entertainment to raise your child.
But I believe that because now they put the title of reality in front of entertainment, a lot of the youth who do not have, let's just call them sensible parents, right?
Real parents.
Because, I guess that's the name.
But because they put the word reality in front of a lot of this stuff, and I like to call it drivel, trash, or whatever, but because there are great reality shows that teach you how to do something. I like Survivor shows. I mean, not like Survivor, but I like shows that like the guy who goes through the wild, or people like the dog guy, huh?
Bear Grylls.
Yeah,
drinking his own piss.
But like I like like Caesar Milan, the guy with the the dog whisperer, or even the bounty hunter dude. Like Dog the bounty hunter, even though he got himself a little caught up. But like stuff that isn't like everybody enjoyed Cops. But it wasn't like the cops were running around with sticks beating people. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were just showing you what they do on a daily basis. But as soon as you start turning it into a bunch of craziness, madness, a bunch of ridiculousness on every level, like haven't you noticed that on none of these shows can people even have sensible conversations?
They have no education.
Yeah. Or and the ones who do have educations, they don't reveal it until after the show has made them popular again.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
Fame horse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like ignorance has become accepting. It's okay to be ignorant. Isn't that okay? Because this spread is crazy. It's crazy.
Well, and so now what people want is they want shock and they want ignorance. So back in the day, because we know that a lot of the people that people admired were cokeheads, but they didn't know they were cokeheads. So they were like, "Ooh, you need to be like so and so." I was about to say some names.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
I was starting to just.
Oh yeah, we can name some names.
Yeah. You know what? It was that close, y'all. I almost.
A lot of people that you watch today as cokeheads, but
yeah,
whatever.
Some of them like that retro feel in their sound, so they like that retro feel in their body.
But that brings me back to another point.
Mm-hmm.
Half of these people who are shocked and appalled by Ray Rice watch Love and Hip Hop every Monday. And they say, "Go, Jocelyn, go. Hit her. She deserved to be knocked out."
And they don't look at the people that are getting hit in these things as real people.
Yeah. It's not abuse then.
Right. Now it's entertainment.
No arrest was made during the making of the Love and Hip Hop reunion. Not one.
Hey, but no arrests were ever made on Jerry Springer, and that was real popular too. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I'm saying. So how can you, as a person, approve this behavior in one aspect of life, but disapprove it just because this man is successful and has money and he's on television?
No, but you know what it really
allowed to make a mistake.
No, you know what it really is? It's because this man is not an actor. It's because this man is not a singer. It's because think about it. Like everybody was mad at Chris, but they got over it.
Barbarian.
Yeah.
I mean, this dude, his job is to bang his head up against another man's head. Mm-hmm. That's his job. He gets knocked up and down.
That's his job description. His job description is go as hard as you can forward.
Exactly.
And I mean,
and if somebody is trying to hit you, you hit them first. That's what they teach you as a running back. Yeah. Don't take the impact. You give the impact. You don't take the punch. You give it out. So here you are. You want this man to detach himself from what he's been all of his life. He's always been in defense mode every single day of his life.
And he was always taught to get off first. Get off first. Don't wait. Get off first.
Because if you wait, you lose.
Yes. And so that's why he was shocked, because he didn't know he was going to react so quick. I mean, the look on his face alone tells you. I mean, and he was so concerned for his baby. You see what I'm saying? Like, he was so concerned for his girl that he had no problem telling on himself. He had no problems because he was shocked. He had no problem saying, "I did it."
Because I'm telling you, if he didn't care about this woman, he'd have left her in the elevator.
Yeah.
He'd have left her in the elevator. Just walked off. You know what? Nobody saw this. I'm out.
Yeah, because he wasn't thinking about no cameras.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Obviously, he wasn't thinking about cameras. I mean.
So Samuel says, "What do we?" Okay, Samuel's question is, "What do we think when it comes down to what would have been a more proper punishment? And do you believe? What was it? Oh, and do you believe that they both should have still had the charge on their records instead of just him having the felony charge?"
Okay. Well, now, just as you did, D, you spoke with a law enforcement agent. Me, I always, before everything I do, I speak with my lawyer because I tend to put my foot in my mouth a lot. So I let him know, this really bothered me a lot. It bothered me. So we spoke about the legality of the whole thing. Now, I was under the impression that no corporation, private or public, supersedes the Constitution of the United States.
Right.
But there's certain things that every company, corporation has called a morality clause. So this breached his morality clause with the NFL. It harmed the Shield. So this tape in the court of law, his punishment couldn't have been changed because that's double jeopardy. That's going against the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. I still feel, even though my lawyer tells me what I feel is wrong, I still feel nothing should go before the Constitution of the United States. Because if that's the case, every corporation within this country is its own country, has succeeded from the United States of America because we make up our own constitutions. You can fire a person for whatever you want to fire them for, even if it goes against their rights granted to them by the Constitution.
Even though they can't do it, but they can.
Yeah.
Like there's so much morality.
Good enough? No, 2 games is not good enough. Point blank. I feel like in the beginning they should have just suspended him for half the season. Period. Just suspend him for half the season. 8 games without pay. But you got to think, everything. This guy did not marry this girl because he was so madly in love with her, and she didn't marry him because she was so madly in love with him. They married each other so she could not testify against him. Period. Point blank. Because you cannot force a woman.
Your spouse. You cannot.
You cannot force your spouse to testify against another spouse. Since the state of New Jersey, I'm sorry, I almost said Nevada. Since the state of New Jersey did not press charges, it was her. They can't force her to testify against her husband. So they got married. Boom. Case closed. So in lieu of him doing court time, jail time, he's a part of some program where, anger management, they do couples counseling, whatever. They need counseling, period. Because any woman that would go back to a man after he chin checks her is a little off. That's just point blank. I mean,
he's a little off because he still married her and she pulled what?
That was survival for him. That was survival.
Yeah, he was protecting his interest because the thing was
survival my ass.
No, because you got to think about it. So I'm going to answer a question that just came in, and we're going to also address what Tatiana is saying. Other than okay, Philip said, Tatiana, even this is funny. I have to read this one, but Philip said, Tatiana, we can barely see you, but you're a beautiful girl. But you need to get better lighting so that we can actually pay attention to the real things that you're trying to say. And we told you she has mood lighting. Leave it alone, Philip. The other thing that we're
seduce y'all. It's okay. You're trying to seduce the listeners.
I'm not seducing. Don't.
Go ahead. Turn on some Sam Smith for him.
Oh, that's taboo. Don't go there. Don't go there.
I kind of figured you more for an Anthony Hamilton, but okay.
Yeah, him too.
She had no loyalty. You see
all,
that, Mark?
All men who can sing. That's it. Just say it. Sing to me, baby.
Well, okay. But anyway, so okay. One of the questions that came in was from Katie Anderson, and Katie Anderson wants to know. She said, "Well, how much did she marry him because of the money that he already has?" But I think we addressed that with the. I think it's more of she now is going to live a lifestyle.
She was going to live a lifestyle. She was going to live a lifestyle.
Yeah, she was going to live a lifestyle.
And let's go back. Can I read her statement?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. This is Janae Palmer's statement that she made earlier today. I woke up this morning feeling like I had a horrible nightmare, feeling like I'm in mourning the death of my closest friend, but to accept the fact that it's really a nightmare in itself. No one knows the pain that the media and unwanted opinions from public has caused my family to make us relive a moment in our lives that we regret every day as a horrible thing. To take something away from the man I love, that he has worked his explicit off for all his life to gain ratings is horrific. This is our life. What do you want? What don't you all get? If your intentions were to hurt us, embarrass us, make us feel alone, take all happiness away, you succeeded on so many levels. Just know we will continue to grow and show the world what real love is. Raven Nation, we love you. Okay, now, but for the people who don't know, they have a child together. Now, what you have done to this family is you have taken the breadwinner away from this family. He was the sole means of finances for this family, period.
And
So,
they were living a lifestyle that
yes,
fit his income at the time. Now, he's
that
made 25
won't,
million off of the Ravens,
yep.
but that's it. That, you know,
He has no endorsements, and if he had endorsements, they were small. They're not LeBron James type endorsements. They're not Kevin Durant type endorsements, and even those endorsements will go away. Period.
right, right.
So what she's saying is she handled the situation within herself. The media, the NFL, the Baltimore Ravens organization didn't have to take the steps that they had to take because she forgave him. But I can't even say we because I'm not a part of you people. You know, but society society loves public executions since the medieval times. They loved it.
Well, you know what this is? This is like the Salem witch trials. This is like the Salem witch trials where everything was where they were hunting, and they didn't even look to say nobody went back to say, "Baby, are you okay? You know, what would you like to see?"
They just love the thrill of the hunt.
They just love the thrill of the hunt. So because of it, not only are you affecting somebody's family, but now you're also teaching this person's child that there is no forgiveness for sin.
None.
There is no forgiveness for error or mistakes being made. And yeah, the mistake was made publicly, but Bill Clinton, but he's still one of the most popular men with a saxophone.
Exactly.
But what makes this any different than adultery? Is it because we didn't get to see the video of Bill's situation? But but there was a video of, was it Neo's situation? Nobody said, "Oh no, Neo, no, no, we can't." No one is actually really holding a morality sit-in, let's say, a morality sit-in on other people who are doing things that are affecting way more people.
Now, I've been asking this question all day long. Everywhere I've been asking people, and I place it to them like this. Now, if someone could come to your job and say, okay, anyone who has abused a woman, you're terminated right now. Would you accept that? Would you accept it? And they say, well, I mean, he did hit a woman, but did he hit a woman on the job?
Right.
Well, it's different because he's in the public's eye. He has all this money, this, and that. So what it is for me is a hatred of someone who has succeeded more than you have succeeded. So now you want to tear this man down, just as in the case with Michael Vick, fighting dogs. Oh, he needs to be gone from the NFL. Gone from the NFL. But when and I hate to make this a black-white issue, but when Ben Roethlisberger, who was the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, when he had rape charges against him, there was not this big outcry for him to be banned from the NFL. Now here you are, a man who's accused of assaulting his wife, and he was basically given a pass by the United States judicial system, but now his way of living is gone. But then you have another man who's been accused by the judicial system of sexual assault of a woman who he has no no relationship with. He is not his wife. It's some random woman in the club.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens? She's paid off. It's swept under the rug. Goes away. He's suspended by the NFL for 4 games. Okay, applaud, whatever. But what happens after that? It goes away. I mean, and we can go on and on. Dante Stallworth, vehicular homicide while intoxicated. Killed the man. Back in NFL. No big uproar. Ray Rice, accused of murder. No big uproar. Back in NFL. And now he's not Ray Rice, Ray Lewis. He's everybody's hero now. He's a role model. He's this, he's that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, now when it comes to being moral and immoral, I don't look to any man to show me how to be a man and how to be a decent human. I don't care if you're a preacher, a bishop, a reverend. We are all faulty. Point blank. Point blank.
Well, yeah.
I don't need you to show me how to live. I know what's right and what's wrong.
But the thing is, and even now, like even in that situation, even the Bible says you are born with an innate understanding of right and wrong, and it develops over time. But you understand that don't feel right. Something's off about that thing, you know. But what it comes back to is people want to we've been talking on this show for a while now, on the INNERMIX show, about the effect of social media on the mentality of the public at large, right? Like a lot of people, they just want to matter. And they want to be like whoever matters to them. Now, true, this is not everybody, but this is definitely, like, social media definitely dominates the
society.
It dominates the culture. But I was thinking more like the bigger cities, you know, major metropolitan areas. That's the phrase I was looking for. It definitely dominates. So people are trying to become something that they have no idea who these people are. They're trying to, you know, remember back in the day when people said, I'm the next Dr. Dre, you know, but he was in so many bad business deals. You sure you want to be the next Dr. Dre? Like, I'm the next Diddy. I'm going to be just like Diddy. Really? You know, like I remember people was, you know, saying, I'm that next person, but you don't really know the road this person traveled, the things this person did to become who they are, you know, and yet you're still trying to be like so-and-so. And then now you got to look at these younger parents and these parents in general, not even just younger ones, but parents in general, who are saying you need to be like so-and-so. You ain't nobody unless you got this. You ain't this and that. There's a lot of you ain'ts, but there's very few you can be's, you know, with a positive spin on it nowadays. And, you know, they used to talk about it, especially early in the 2000s, about how, you know, in the 90s, in the late 90s, how parents were letting the television raise their children. But, you know, the one thing I can remember about the 80s, when parents told you you could have some TV time, right? The one thing I remember is that every cartoon had a moral at the end of it to help you improve your relationship with people.
Now it's the Boondocks.
Exactly.
You know, so, but now ignorance runs rampant on every level. It's in the cartoons. Now, true, haven't you even noticed that a lot of the children's cartoons, quote unquote, are really adult cartoons with the content that's coming out? You know, and at least back in the day when Bugs Bunny was cross-dressing and doing a whole bunch of stuff that you had to get older to recognize, you know, at least it was so well hidden, you didn't know that something was wrong with some of the stuff they were doing. Like, nobody knew Pepe Le Pew was a rapist. Like, nobody, you know, like.
He was not a rapist.
He was a stalker.
He was a stalker. he had a problem. You know what I mean? Like he was a sexual deviant. He was a sexual deviant.
I'll go with that.
Okay, but you know, not to mention how much violence was promoted in these cartoons. You know, straight, you know, shotgun to the head type stuff. But nobody really saw an issue with these kinds of things on television, but yet now. Like you were saying, Marvin, now people have taken it so far to that, but they like to zero in on one person. They don't take a look at the entire situation. They don't say, okay, you know what, if we're gonna say this about so and so, then we should be saying this across the board. You know, there is no, I mean, I just thought about it. When was the last time you heard about a morality clause at a record label?
You will never hear about a morality clause in the music industry. Period. Ever.
I just thought about it.
Because if you're not being immoral, 9 times out of 10, you're not selling records, so you drop. What's the point?
You know, when was the last time you really, I mean, like, seriously heard about a television network saying, "Oh no, you were just too bad for us"? How long did dude from 2.5 Men have his job? What was that dude?
He wasn't bad. He just made a mistake.
He made lots of them.
What's the difference?
Yeah.
What's it make?
Look at. Let's go down the line. Lindsay Lohan. Come on. How long has she been the girl she is?
Well, exactly. But
That's
look
a completely different story.
No, look at the guy who was playing Cody on Step by Step? He was, you know, beating his wife, and he still had a show.
Talking about what is Step by Step?
Oh, girl.
Before your time, don't worry about it.
Yeah, before your time.
Okay.
Yeah, but he still had a show, and he was a martial artist, and so he knew how not to do stuff, and he was still doing it.
And see, and you bring up another thing, D. A lot of people were associating this with Floyd Mayweather. There's a big difference between Floyd Mayweather and Ray Rice. Floyd Mayweather is trained to knock people out. Trained to knock people out. Yeah. That's not Ray Rice's profession. He's not a professional boxer. Period.
No.
So let's separate those two things. But when to get back to our little timeline thing, Ray Rice was suspended, given his 2-day suspension on August 1st. Now, let's take a guess. D, how long do you think that it took for the NFL to come up with a policy for this type of behavior?
A day.
No, Tati, how long do you think it took?
I was going to say 24 hours myself.
24 hours? You close, but not with the hours. It took 27 days before the NFL announced a policy.
Really?
27 days. On August 28th, then they made this new policy. August 28th. August 28th. And here we are, September 8th. TMZ releases. August 28th, he says, no, we're not going to suspend Ray Rice for the 6 games because this precedent came after his incident.
Right.
So no, he's atoned from that. The next player will go in, and what happens? 2 more players in the NFL since then have domestic abuse charges against them. Greg Harden for the Carolina Panthers and Ray McDonald for the San Francisco 49ers. And those cases are far more egregious than this. One has rifles involved in AK-47s and dragging and throwing in the tub and whatever, a whole bunch of stuff. This is one punch, and guess what? Both of those players played this Sunday.
Wow. See, I didn't even know about that.
One of them on national television.
So it's really not. So apparently it's not a policy that is actually for everybody. It's just for the public for this particular situation.
And see, the one of the things I disagree with the policy is it does not take it case by case, because now, and Tati, you can attest to this, some women are conniving and vindictive. So here you are with this policy that says your first offense, you're suspended for 6 games. So let's just say some NFL player who's this woman's meal ticket says, you know what, I don't want to be with you anymore. And then this woman goes and does a thin line between love and hate. Beats herself up.
Yep.
Beats herself up. And now here this man is suspended for 6 games for something he didn't do. Because the rule states it does not matter the details of the incident, but you are being accused of the incident. You are, in this case, you are guilty until proven innocent. Guilty.
Well, see, that's going to be a continuous issue then, because all they're doing is giving people a license to extort someone.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
So So we have a question that came in from Pamela. So I was trying to. I'm sorry, Pamela. I sat there and read it and then whatever. But anyway, Pamela says, "Well, so what is the point of even having?" But this came in actually before we made this last statement. But what is the point of even having, these rules in place if they're not going to abide by their own rules?
Because the NFL is a business.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And last year, the NFL made $1 billion. $1 billion.
And that was their cut.
Yes, $1 billion. This is profit. This is not before bills. This is profit. $1 billion in profit. So
right.
when they see and the number one increase in profit for the NFL were female. More females bought more jerseys, attended more games. So when they see something that would alienate the female population from coming to this game, this team game, because this man is playing and blah, 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 because you had a whole lot of women's rights groups say they would not come to a game and support a game that Ray Rice was a player in. Okay, half of those women never been to an NFL game anyway.
So it don't matter, right? Yeah.
So it really, there's nothing you can do to hurt the profit margin of $1 billion industry. The NFL is the most popular entity, sports entity in the world. In the world. Period.
And for the 50 that don't like them, it's going to be 100 that's going to cling to them because they want to know what happened and why this happened. And all, just like the little Chris Brown and Rihanna thing.
Well, not just that, but you got to look at it.
Brown got for that.
Well, you also got to look at it this way, too, is what's going to end up happening is that they're going to, try to, because the NFL, even in this situation, is capitalizing.
Exactly.
They're going to remove the head of such and such. They're going to, I forget the dude's name right now, but they're figuring in a couple of weeks, he's probably going to turn in his resignation or whatever.
Oh, no, Roger Goodell is not resigning. No, right. Sir. No, sir. He is a very intelligent and
he knows how to play the press.
He's a calculated man. Because let me explain how intelligent he is. On Thursday night, the Baltimore Ravens play the Pittsburgh Steelers on CBS.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight, tonight on West Coast time, but yesterday on East Coast time, Roger Goodell did an interview on what station? CBS.
Uh-huh.
Because he didn't have to be good to the other broadcast networks because his game isn't coming on ABC or NBC or Fox or ESPN. It's coming on CBS. So you know what? You get the exclusive with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to sit here and say, you know what? When I suspended Ray Rice the first time, it wasn't good enough. And then when I came up with the rule, it wasn't good enough. So I take all of it. I take all the responsibilities on me. I wasn't good enough. I failed my league. I failed women. I failed this. Whatever. So now he's the hero. For women, Roger Goodell. They got Roger Goodell posters up. Now they got a man crush on Roger Goodell. Come on. He's an intelligent businessman. He knows what's good for business, what's good for his brand. So no owner in the NFL is going to say, let's vote Roger Goodell out. Not happening. Because you know what? None of the owners want to own up to this. Because if you watch ESPN today, who was doing the interview? Who did the presser for the Baltimore Ravens? Not the owner of the Baltimore Ravens, not the general manager of the Baltimore Ravens, not the coach. No one from the front office did the interview. The head coach was placed in front of the camera and made to answer questions as if he made the decision to release Ray Rice.
Right.
He was a victim in this situation just as much as Ray Rice and his wife.
So, sorry. I'm trying to get this name right. Kalisha. First off, girl, Kalisha. Anyway.
I love your name. It reminds me of Kaleidoscope.
Kalisha wants to know. So what is the So she's asking, what is the overall point of the discussion? Is it to bring awareness to what's happening in the industry, or is it just to vent about how life isn't fair? She's saying that this doesn't fit the normal intermix format, and she's been following us since our blog talk days. Kalisha, first off, thank you for being a fan. We really appreciate it. I've actually seen her work around the internet on our behalf. Actually, Kalisha, what we wanted to do tonight was not only do we want to bring awareness, but you know how Intermix makes it a point to take you behind the scenes of the traditional press situation. And one thing that we try to make sure people do is zero in on the facts and not just on the hype, because the hype will get you confused and get you caught up. Now, you know that we focus on love and relationships a lot, and we've been talking about stress in relationships. We've been talking about how to identify certain things in relationships, and this situation has really taken off and taken over. So in no way, shape, form, or fashion are we saying, oh, abuse is accepted. That's why Marvin said it, and we say it all the time, that it's not something that we endorse. There's never a reason to, well, I can't say never. It's never advised to beat somebody down for no good reason, just because you had a bad day or whatever. But in this discussion, we are saying people do make errors. Like, this is not something that was planned out. It wasn't something that he said, I'm going to get you next time you say something to me, as far as we know. But what we do recognize is that
there was no other incident preceding this incident. This is the first incident.
So and now, kind of like this statement Marvin said, because and we got a really good, I'm not gonna say good, but we got a really interesting response to the, should the public be able to determine somebody's future based on one incident that was settled by the people involved in the incident? It's
and
like
by the code of law and by the legal system. Let's get that right.
Yeah, the legal system. This is what. I'm sorry, say that again, Tatiana.
I'm answering the question, which is no, 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 and no. No.
Yeah. So with all these things, okay, like that there's always a point to the things that we do here on the show. And one of the things that we want to make clear is we brought in people who actually work in the entertainment industry and who are well versed in the things that happen behind the scenes. And one of the things that we want you guys to understand is people are going to make errors. Now, if you stay in a relationship where you're constantly getting hit, where you're constantly being manipulated, where you're constantly, going through these kinds of things, you're in a very abusive relationship. Okay? Are we saying that these two are madly in love? We don't know their life. All we know is what we see. And we do understand that, people might have gotten married. People may have gotten married to keep the legal system under control, all that kind of stuff. But what we really want you to focus in on is not everything is how it appears to be. And if, like I told you guys about an incident that happened not too long ago where Jules and I were at a restaurant, right? Jules was swatting away at a fly and almost popped somebody in the face because she was trying to get the fly away from her food. Now, if somebody had caught that on camera, they'd have never seen the fly, but they'd have seen her punch this dude.
Mm-hmm.
And then how would that have been read by the public? Okay, they would have assumed that the guy said something to her that offended her. They'd have assumed that Jules is just a violent girl who doesn't understand how to behave in a public situation. It could have been spun any kind of way. Everything is not what it seems to be. And in the world that we live in, we understand that you say the right words, in the right sequence, release the right information at a certain time, and you can lead the public down the road you want them to go down because they don't see all the smoke in the mirrors. TMZ had to have had all of the video.
Yes.
To be able to show you the clip of him dragging her out at first.
Yeah.
Because it's been tailored. It was already tailored together by the hotel, so that people would know, so that they could have an account of this thing. Why would TMZ only release one part of it? Why would somebody tell you about a movie that's coming up but not give you a release date? Why would somebody? You see what I'm saying? There's always a reason to keep you coming back for more.
Well, see, this is another thing that everybody needs to think on. Now, preceding today's events, the NFL said they had no knowledge of the second video. No knowledge of the second video. Now, TMZ came out on a statement following the NFL statement and said they contacted the NFL numerous times, letting them know of the video. And the NFL never responded. Not once, didn't answer calls, didn't return calls. So when Roger Goodell went on CBS tonight with Roger Goodell, for everybody who doesn't know, again, is the commissioner of the NFL, he stated that TMZ is not a credible source. That's why they did not answer any calls, accept the video, anything. So you have someone who leaked the video, the first video, but now they're not credible for you to take their calls about another video. So and the NFL has CIA agents, FBI agents,
Secret Service,
Secret Service. Everybody works for the NFL. So you cannot tell me that TMZ can get a video that the NFL cannot. There's nobody that can tell me that. No.
Matter of fact, technically, the NFL could have bought and hid everything without anybody knowing about it.
Well, I'm not even saying buy and hide the video.
No, I'm just saying
but in order for them to place, because Roger Goodell said in the statement, and originally we've looked at all of the evidence, and 2 days is the punishment. We've looked at all the evidence. That's his statement. We've looked at all the evidence. So you can't now say, oh, new evidence has come forth, so now we have to punish him. And to get back to the, I don't even remember the young lady's name, Kalisha. Okay, Kaleidoscope. Why are we discussing this? Okay, now, just as Dee said, you cannot. The moral to the story is, you cannot take and everything that you see in the media and just run with it for face value. Point blank, because the media will demonize anyone and everyone.
Right.
Period. And when the media is found to be wrong or immoral, or they'll never be found immoral, I'm sorry, wrong, then the media does not come back and apologize and say, you know what, I was wrong, blah, 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 whatever. They just move on to the next story. And right now, Ray Rice is ratings. It's not the conflict in the Middle East. It's not conflict in Israel and in Gaza. It's none of that.
Not the Ebola virus.
It's not the Ebola virus. It's none of that. Right now, Ray Rice takes precedent over everything. I mean, there was a time when you would not see sports on CNN, but now it's news on CNN. Because that's what everybody's talking about. Every channel I turned to, everyone was and it bothered me as a person to see so many people vilifying this person for making a mistake, as if none of us have ever made mistakes in life. Period. If I could be fired from every job I've ever worked at, or lose my companies for things that I've done that were wrong and immoral, I would be the brokest man in America. Because every day I do something wrong and immoral. And that's just me being honest.
Yes.
I say everything. I say everything. And for people who don't know, Tatiana is my assistant, so she sees me and hears me every day say things to people that you should not say to people. But guess what? I get away with it because I make a lot of people a lot of money. So they smile and nod. Smile and nod. Ha ha ha.
Well, it's kind of like it's kind of up there. And again, Kalisha, we're just excited that you are fans of what we do. But I was gonna say, but it's kind of like how, because Kalisha had written in before about something, another comment I had made a couple shows back, where I said, some people do what they, some people have an ability to do the things that other people can't get away with. Like, if I tell a girl that she has hoish tendencies, she's like, you know what, D, you're right. But if Marvin came and said, you have hoish tendencies. He wouldn't even say the tendencies part, right?
No.
First off.
Oh.
Right? Then she would just call him all kinds of names. Like, what? You don't even know me. But then at the end of the conversation, she's like, but you're right.
She said, oh, I can't believe you just said that.
Yeah. See, but it's not like it's not like we constantly say things to people to offend them. Okay, let me rephrase.
Nothing is said with the intent of offense.
The intention is not behind. Yeah, the intention.
If you ask a question, you get an answer.
Yeah. Just like yesterday, I spent time explaining to somebody that what they perceive to be reality is not the reality of the situation. It's just, and I had to explain to them. It's like, you go into a movie theater, and we're gonna kind of end on this because we're getting ready to run over our time. But when you go and sit at a movie theater, you buy your popcorn, you get your drink, and you sit there and you allow music and dialogue and framing of scenes to take you into an experience that you believe is now your reality. You forget you're at a theater. You forget about all the stuff that's going on around you. I said, then but all of a sudden the movie ends and you realize you're still at the same place, having the same stuff around you. Nothing has changed for you. You're still in the exact same situation. Well, when you look at the way the media operates, it's the media's job to take you into an experience that may not actually have any reality in it. Your reality has not changed. It's just that now you perceive things a little differently based on the way things were delivered to you. I guess that meant something to somebody, but I'm getting that. You know what? Okay. Kalisha. Okay. She's like, I never thought about it that way. Kalisha, the thing is like, it's the job of the musician to take you into a reality they want you to experience with them, because that's what's going to get you to spend money. It's the job of the media to keep their jobs. Like, we're not even talking about like what you see us do here, even though we're very information based. We're not going to spin stuff so that you think we're beautiful people. We're just beautiful people. No, but we're not going to spin stuff to make you think, that this is what it is. But you tune into so many different things, and they only show you an aspect that they want you to see. And that aspect is always geared to get you moving in a particular direction mentally and emotionally, especially emotionally. Because if they get you emotionally, then they got you mentally. So what we try to do is bring the clarity to all these different situations. And yes, we can do that. One person, I'm sorry, what's your name? I'm sorry. Travis is asking, can we come back and talk about the Chris Brown, Rihanna situation, and if we believe that was, and how we view that situation. We can do that on a future episode.
He was wrong. That doesn't take an episode. He's wrong.
Now, but see,
he was wrong.
Yeah, well, yeah, he was. Well, the question is he a product though of the environment he grew up in? And how they say, if you have abusive parents, you might grow to be abusive. You might have some abusive tendencies that you need to pay attention to, just like alcoholism or, a couple other drug abuse, stuff like that. So since his dad was beating his mom, did he grow up in a situation where he lashed out at Rihanna for whatever reason? I can't remember what they said the actual reason was that he ended up doing what he did. But
what, D? My psychology friends are gonna disagree with me, but I call bullshit.
And I have agreed. But go ahead.
You can't blame your present behavior on your past experiences, because okay, here it is. My parents were broker than a joke. That didn't make me want to be broke. My dad was a deadbeat dad. Period. That didn't make me want not take care of my children. I take care of my children, in my opinion, and my opinion counts a lot to me, better than their mother. I mean, but that does not. I mean, you can't. And I grew up in a household where my stepfather was abusive to my mother, but that didn't make me want to abuse women. Period.
No, but you remember though that your psychology friends will tell you that behaviors become extremely one way or the other based on your situation. But it does not mean that you're going to be just like that situation. Like the thing about psychology that I find really interesting is that they give you two options, right?
Yep.
They say
It's a multiple choice test.
yeah, like they say okay.
Not necessarily.
Well,
Not necessarily.
They tell you that, like for instance, with what you just described, Marvin, right? They'll tell you, okay, because of the way you lived, you decided that you didn't want to live that way anymore, so you applied yourself to becoming successful because you didn't want to live in a certain environment anymore. Now, true, like, but because you see the kind of reverse when you see people who grew up in privileged situations, it's like they want to be ghetto. It's like they want to not have. Like, it's a very interesting.
Stupidest thing in the world.
Yeah, but it's what. But everybody wants to experience something that they have not experienced. They want to experience something that has not, that is not normal for them. For some reason, people are always chasing something that is not their norm. So, because of that, the psychologist would easily say that your experience that you live now is based on those situations in your past that made you say, you know what, I'm not going to live this way, and I'm not going to be like my father. I'm not going to be like so and so. You know, so it just depends on who you talk to.
And I would say that each generation is supposed to be better than the generation preceding it. I was just the person that understood that no matter who it was, whether it was my father, my grandfather, my mother, my grandmother, I'm supposed to be a better representation than you. I evolve whatever you were. Period. And I tell my children, don't be like me. Be better than me. I'm your benchmark.
Yeah, but that's something that individuals don't even hear anymore. You know, like we kind of grew up in an era where they said, you know, where people either decided to be better. For the most part, it was always the goal was to either be better or they were told by their parents, you know what, I'm doing the best I can, but you can be better. You know, honestly, our youth don't even hear that anymore, except from people who recognize that for themselves. I recognize that, so I tell my kids, you know what, like I had a proud moment yesterday. You'll appreciate this one, Marvin. My daughter has been asked to participate in a martial art competition, right? So I'm training her. You know, I'm like, okay, let me see what she can do because she's a little timid in the ring, right? So I'm like, okay, but the instructor says your girl's gonna be a champion one day if she just gets over her fear of hitting people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, let me see what's going on. Let me have her spar with me. This girl was letting off combos left and right, you know, kicks. I was like.
That's what put me on punishment, Daddy.
yeah. No, I'm telling you.
Right?
Now, you know, I have multiple belts and multiple styles, but this girl instinctively has it. She has that it thing when it comes down to fighting, and I'm like, she may not have gotten my rhythm, but she got my punch, and I'm okay with that. You know, like, you know, but it's a very interesting thing. But she said, Daddy, I want to be like you and then better. And I'm like, you do that, you know. But it's a very interesting thing how a lot of kids don't get that opportunity to say, I could actually be better, other than the kids who don't want to be drug addicts like some parents or whatever.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you, I think I spoke about this with Tati the other day. My daughter, in the 8th grade, already has a plan for her future. You know what I was doing in the 8th grade? Chasing girls and playing football, playing basketball, and video games. I didn't care what my plan was for a future.
It had nothing to do with what I'm doing.
My daughter already knows what high school she wants to go to because that high school will give her college credit, so she won't be in college so long, so she can go to med school and finish med school faster. And I was amazed that this child was my child because none of this stuff was on my mind in the 8th grade, let alone the 11th grade. And I had already committed to a college, but I didn't care what my major was in that college because in the 11th grade I was in a record deal. So who cared? about what my major was.
Do you know what my daughter recently said? I'm sorry, y'all. Now we're just bragging about our kid. But my daughter told me the other day. She said, "Daddy, I'm going to be your manager one day," because she wants to put out INNERMIX merchandise and stuff. She wants to tell people, So, and I'm like, well, you can do that, baby. One day you're just going to be. She's like, I got to go and I got to get. She said, I'm going. Basically, her thing, because she's a 5th grader, so her thing is, I'm going to go. I'm going to go to school so I can be the best, so I can be your manager. I'm like, I don't know if I want to work for somebody like that. But anyway, I don't know. But it was really interesting that she's actually starting to think about her future. Now, my son.
Boys are different.
We're working it out. But although he does like to fight and stuff, but he doesn't like to do. He's not a schoolyard fighter. He's a put me in the ring, let me swing type of fighter. So it's a very interesting thing. So, but you guys, we enjoyed you guys tuning into the show tonight. We are really enjoying the viewership, and thank you guys for really tuning into this special episode of the INNERMIX show, Hangouts version. But I'm going to leave you with these thoughts. Not everything is how it appears. Okay? Making quick snap judgments on somebody in a public space doesn't often give people a time to heal from the thing that happened in their life, not your life. It's not your life that's being affected by these people. It's their lives that are being affected by the situations that they've caused in their lives. If you give them a chance to heal, they are being punished publicly for something that happened in public. It's kind of like that thing that you even hear about in Scripture. If something is done in public, often it'll be dealt with in public. I understand that. Just like you do something crazy in the store in public, the way my parent would have gotten you in the store in public. But once it was done, it was done. Only in recent history have parents not been allowed to discipline their children in public, because then the public wants to get involved in the disciplining of the child.
Shit.
You see what I'm saying? And that's why, what we're saying is take time out and look. Don't just receive it and say that must be the fact because it was delivered to me this way. No. What you need to do, matter of fact, this is a good example that was actually put on, that was sent in anyway. Don't be like the girl who hears that the boyfriend was out at the club instead of at work, and then you believe what the friend said without ever checking the facts for yourself. So now you're reacting and treating him like he never went to work, but he was at work the whole time.
Probably because he didn't. Probably because he didn't go.
Here you go, being a woman.
Only people who react to stuff they hear without checking it out themselves are people who never trusted the situation to begin with. But that's a whole nother situation. That's a whole nother thing. Exactly. So, because I could. We might have to have you back, Tati. But guys, take time to look at not only the situation that's being talked about, but take time to look into the history of those things that you're weighing in on opinion-wise. This is somebody's first offense, and if this had to happen to your son or your daughter, then you wouldn't want everybody in your business as they solve their own internal issues. If it happens in a public space, the law took care of their part, the media, is doing their thing, but this should not end somebody's livelihood. Not like this. If anybody, now let's be real, if anybody should have lost their livelihood over the situation, it would have been Chris Brown.
Because but you're still buying his albums. He's still your baby. Your man crush Monday. Yeah. Every Monday, he on every girl's Instagram.
Mm-hmm. And
I love him. My little sister.
And he's putting out and he puts out music that tells you that this is how he's gonna treat you.
Yeah.
And you out there dancing to "These Hoes Ain't Loyal" like it's a love song. You see what I'm saying? Like
a host is supposed to be loyal.
Yeah. So our thing is look at things and really analyze. Don't just jump on the bandwagon because there's a wagon to jump on. Because you want to be in the know and in the popular side of things, because you don't want this to happen in your life. Always think about how you would want to be treated so that you know how to treat somebody else's situation. No one has stepped up yet publicly and said, you know what, but this young couple, just like every other young couple out there, is going to go through their ups and their downs. But if you give them an opportunity to work it out, they will work it out. And now that we know that these two have a little volatility between them, all we have to do is say, hey, do you need a little help getting that under control? Because best believe the ones that you're not hearing about are the ones who are probably doing something even worse than what you just witnessed in this situation.
Yep.
So other than that, I want to thank you, Marvin, for joining the show this evening. I want to thank you, Tatiana, for being our female on the show, and and Phil wants to thank you for just being on the show.
Her phone number is 757. No.
So anyway, you guys, this has been a special episode of the INNERMIX Show. Once again, you guys can find us on Twitter at INNERMIX_show. You can find us on Instagram, and go ahead and follow us on Instagram because you're going to get a lot more content on there and on Twitter. So on Instagram, it's going to be INNERMIX360. You've got Google Plus, which is where we're at right now, and you can get that at Plus INNERMIX Show. And of course, there is Facebook. Who doesn't have a Facebook? And that is Plus. Just INNERMIX.
I don't have Facebook either.
No. But y'all shouldn't have Facebook.
Facebook is for dating. I don't do no dating.
So, actually, in reality, I know like 7 people who have left Facebook. And to be quite honest, if we weren't doing business on Facebook per se, we wouldn't be there. So anyway, you guys have a great week. We will see you on Monday. The next series that is starting, and I wanted to let you guys know this, is we're talking about how to know if you are in a manipulative relationship, and if you are the manipulator or the one you are with is a manipulator, or maybe it's a little bit of both. So we have
you manipulator.
The man is the manipulator. He just too dumb to realize it.
And we're going to find out because we actually took the time out to come up with 16 identifiers of a manipulator. And I also want to let you guys know, real quick, that this became such a big issue in U.S. history of manipulative relationships and abuse and stuff like that, that the government sanctioned a psychological study to determine the qualities that help you identify these situations, because a lot of people who exhibit all these qualifications or all these qualifications often end up becoming severe stalkers, or they become severe abusers. And it has a 90% success rate of identifying somebody who is most likely going to become an abuser or something like that. So it's a good thing to know, because if you are the person that is being described in this, you can catch yourself early and get onto the right track so that you can have a healthy and loving relationship, which is what we promote here on this show. So until next week, we just want to say thank you, and we'll talk to you next week. Next Monday night.
Keep your hands to yourself.
Okay. But yeah, do that. Unless you're married and you're doing other things with your hands. Anyway, we'll talk to y'all later. This is Simply D of the INNERMIX Show. Bye.